Well, welcome, Pleasant Ridge. As you know, we've been meeting from our homes over the past month or so, and the governor recently declared that we could start meeting in churches again. So as we talk about returning to church, I just wanted to share some thoughts with you as we get prepared for this time of transition. First, I've talked with several leaders in our church and a few church members, and I've also met with several pastors along with Dan Dockery. And as we've talked since the governor issued the okay for us to start gathering again, I just want to remind us first and foremost that the governor did say that we should continue meeting online or maybe drive-in church, and if we do reopen the doors for the general population, we still adhere to certain practices to keep everyone safe. Just going to look at a few notes here. First and foremost, the CDC in their last posting, this was 4/24/20, which was technically ended the Friday the week before. They analyzed a lot of data. And some of the key points in that report was that the actual numbers are going down. Now, it doesn't look that way because people have had tests, and those tests have come in, and it's elevating those numbers. But as we look at the stats, the raw data, within the southeast, within Carroll County, Haralson County, Douglas County, yes, those numbers are showing a little higher. And so for that reason, the leaders that I've talked to, along with pastors, that we still hold off on meeting immediately, that's the general consensus of pretty much everybody that I've talked to, both in our church as well as pastors and church leaders in the Carroll County area. Primarily, that's because we want to make sure that first and foremost, we're protecting the general population from COVID-19. We want to protect those that are elderly within our church, those who are sick, and there's still a lot of fear going around. There are a lot of people who are still concerned about the virus, as you should be, because it is a dangerous and serious virus. So the opinions that I have gathered range from we need to start having worship services like now, next Sunday, all the way to I have no idea when I'm going to return to church. So we've got that long range of ideas out there. So what about us? What about our church? What are our plans to do? Well, first, I want you to hear this very clearly. First, no specific date to start back has been determined as of yet. Again, the general consensus is that we wait until Mother's Day at the earliest to have a service, if not the Sunday after. There are some that say we may not have services in our building until the 1st of June. So right now, the general rule or the general consensus is that we take it a week-by-week basis. And so when we do meet back, these are some things that we're going to do. We're going to have a phase one, if you will. In phase one, we're going to look at 2 services with no children's activities and no Sunday school. In phase one, we're looking at probably having 2 services. And the first service would be maybe 9 o'clock or maybe 9:30. This is where I'm looking for feedback from all of our members and our attenders. We would have one service that would last approximately 45 to 50 minutes long. And then that group would be dismissed and you would go home, and then we'd have another service that started at 11, again following the same 45 to 50 minute guideline. We would probably close the bathrooms. You're just coming for an hour or less. We're not going to have coffee. We're not going to have food. We're not going to have bulletins. We're going to have spaced grouped seating. Families would be able to sit together, meaning if you live in the same household, you'll be sitting together. We will either rope off sections of the sanctuary and the pews, the seats rather. We may remove chairs. But because we're thinking about 2 services, if that's what everyone agrees to, we may not move the chairs out. We may just rope off half the seats for the first service, and then when the first group leaves, then we will rope those off and then clear the others. That way you're sitting on a seat that should be virus-free in case someone might have the virus, meaning they're asymptomatic. We've also looked at the possibility of people wearing face masks. We don't want any hugging. We don't want handshaking. We'll have people that will have the doors open. We also thought about, or have been thinking about, we come in one way, go out the other way. But when it comes to dismissal, everyone will be dismissed in a systematically orderly way to minimize our social distancing, at least for the first 2 or 3 weeks or so. We're not going to have a choir. We'll have a group of people on stage who will be singing along, and we'll perform whatever special music that we have. And for offerings, we're not going to pass the offering plate. We will have a couple of spots designated for you to drop your offering in, and you'll just simply drop it in that bucket or that plate, and then you'll make your way out. So we're going to do everything we can to minimize contact between people. We'll be doing, waves and, simulated group hugs and things like that. We will continue to online stream. Now, when we do go back to meeting in the building, the online streaming will not happen at the time of the service, even if we have 2 services. The reason for that is we just do not have the bandwidth or the power at the church to upload the service or to broadcast it live. Our internet service is just not that good. We've already looked into increasing it, but that's just not going to happen anytime soon because the AT&T doesn't have anything that would work for us. That's who we're using now. The cable company doesn't have a cable line running near the church, and it's going to cost apparently a lot of money. We're still looking into that so that when we do somewhere down the future, we can continue online broadcasting and do it simultaneously while the church is meeting. And this is me, I also want us to look at buying some equipment where we can record the services and then put those on maybe a CD, and then we can mail an audio version of our worship services to our elderly and shut-in who can't get out. That's something we really should have been doing a long time ago, but we're looking at that as well. So with all of those things said, we would like to hear from you. We were planning on having a nursery. We know that could be a little noisy, but that's okay. At least it's okay with me. But if you want us to have a nursery, that's a discussion we need to have because we want to make sure that whoever's in the nursery has been COVID tested, or not maybe COVID tested, but they're asymptomatic, they don't have a fever, they've not been around anyone who has had COVID-19, or we may, if you need to feed your baby or change your baby, we could have someone open the nursery to take care of those kinds of needs. But we need some feedback on what those of you who are moms and dads, what you would like to do with the nursery, and then also it's a possibility. Well, we just give us some feedback on that. That's what we'd like to hear. I think that pretty much covered most everything I wanted to share with you. We would like your feedback. How many of you are wanting to come back soon? Or what date do you think would work? So give us some ideas, and we appreciate all the feedback that you're going to give us in the days ahead. Hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your Sunday. God bless. See you soon.